Hello and welcome to China Today on CCTV International. I'm Zhang Ling. President Hu Jintao wrapped up his state visit to Tanzania on Monday and left for Mauritius to continue his five-nation journey. During his stay in Tanzania, he finalized a number of trade and business documents with Tanzanian officials and attended the completion ceremony of a sports stadium. Wang Xiqing has the details.
It has almost become a tradition now that the Chinese president's first trip abroad for the new year is Africa. Tanzania is the fourth stop of Hu Jintao's week-long tour, but it doesn't mean this Eastern African nation is any less important. Tanzania is one of the largest African recipients of Chinese aid. The two countries have had diplomatic ties since the 1960s. And in 2008, Tanzania was the only country in Africa to host the Olympic torch relay before the Beijing Games. In his talks with Tanzania President Jakaya Kikwete, Hu Jintao said the nearly half-a-century-long relationship is an ideal example of friendship and cooperation between developing countries. He hopes in the future high-level visits can become more frequent, political trust grows stronger, exchanges among the young people enhanced, and that cooperative projects are all implemented. Hu Jintao said his government is willing to work with African nations to fend off the global financial meltdown, and China supports a reform of the world financial system to reflect the growing role of emerging economies. Kikwete said China's economic success has greatly boosted confidence among African nations to tackle poverty and develop the economy. He said his country will abide by the One China principle and support China's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The two sides signed several documents after the talks. On the sidelines of his meeting with Tanzania officials, Hu Jintao also met Zanzibar President Amani Abeid Karume. Hu Jintao said ties with Zanzibar constitute an important part of China-Tanzania relations. He said the Chinese government will continue to provide assistance and investment to the island. Karume said Zanzibar is willing to strengthen cooperation with China in the fields including trade, tourism, and infrastructure construction. Later, the Chinese president accepted interviews by the press. He said the aim of his trip is to consolidate friendship, deepen cooperation, tackle difficulties, and develop together.
As the global financial meltdown continues to spread, it has brought difficulties to China and African countries. China will actively support Africa to develop its economy and improve people's livelihood. The Chinese government will implement all assistance measures announced at the China-African Cooperation Forum in Beijing in 2006 and strengthen pragmatic cooperation and strategic relations between China and Africa.
Hu Jintao's visit to Tanzania also took him to this newly built sports stadium. Construction of the national stadium began 4 years ago, and it is now the biggest and most modern sporting facility in Eastern Africa. Hu Jintao said this project is another example showcasing the fruitful two-way cooperation in culture, education, and infrastructure construction. A project similar to this scale would date back 40 years ago, when Chinese engineers helped to build the Tanzania-Zambia Railroad. It took 6 years to complete and cost the lives of almost 70 Chinese workers. Hu Jintao paid his respect to those Chinese nationals buried in this cemetery. Before Tanzania, President Hu Jintao has already visited Saudi Arabia, Mali, and Senegal. He will fly home on Tuesday after finishing the tour in Mauritius. Wang Xiqing, CCTV.